And welcome to the Rick House. My name is Cyrus Farmer, and you are watching and listening to the Stomp the Tee podcast. Folks, we have a lot of ground to cover tonight, so let me tell you exactly what we're going to be getting into. Um, we're going to be talking about, in my opinion, some of the greatest left handed pitchers in the history of Major League Baseball. We will get into a somewhat in depth uh, apples to apples comparison of some of the candidates, and you can tell me what you think about my list. More importantly, we are also going to be talking about whether or not Clayton Kershaw belongs in that upper echelon. Is Clayton Kershaw top 5, top 3, top 10, top 15? Who knows? We're going to find out together. And, of course, we will be discussing everyone's favorite segment. What are you drinking tonight? So, without further ado, folks, let's just get right on into it. I know that the Summer League debut of Cooper Flagg and Bronny James uh, happened earlier tonight. It's probably still going on. Um, I didn't watch much. I watched the first half, but you can't really learn a lot about Summer League basketball from the point of evaluating a player. But I did want to mention that. Yeah, I tuned in for the first half. It was interesting, kind of. All right, to the topic at hand. Folks, we were talking last week. I'd given my congratulations to Clayton Kershaw for achieving the 3,000 strike threshold. And I talked about how sometimes he gets a hard time for his postseason record versus his regular season dominance. I think almost unfairly. Not unfairly, but almost unfairly. Uh, so my brother asked a question, and he said, is Clayton Kershaw top 5 all time among left-handed pitchers? When I wrote my brother back, my brother, by the way, is a young man named Orrin Farmer. Wonderful gentleman. And happens to be pretty good looking as well. Why do I say that? Because he's my twin. We are twin brothers. But more on that another day. So my brother, Orrin, asked, is Clayton Kershaw top 5 all time among left-handed pitchers? And my response to him was, just off the top of my head, probably not. I said, definitely top 15, but I don't know if Kershaw makes it into the top 5. But it did get me thinking. And of course, some of you on TikTok offered your opinions about Kershaw, his postseason struggles, his career overall. And that got me thinking. So I said, why don't I just do a deep dive into basically contextually the great left-hand pitchers of all time and kind of see where Kershaw falls in or amongst that group. So it'll be interesting. I'm going to give you 4 names of pitchers that I believe are definitely top 10 of all time, but these 4 names are probably, and this is just my opinion, easily top 5 of all time among left-handed pitchers. Those 4 pitchers are, and this is in no particular order, Sandy Koufax, Steve Carlton, Warren Spahn, and Randy Johnson. Folks, we're going to go through a comparison of these 4 pitchers, and then we'll get to Clayton Kershaw right after, and I'll give you some thoughts about that. Again, in no particular order, let's just start with the pitcher that most people consider one of the greatest pitchers, if not the greatest pitcher, in the history of baseball. And certainly most people consider him the greatest left-handed pitcher in the history of Major League Baseball. And that would be Sandy Koufax. Dodger great. Look, Sandy, he pitched for 12 seasons, and his career record was 165 and 87. His career ERA was 2.76. He had 2,396 strikeouts. He won 3 Cy Young Awards, 1 MVP, 2 World Series MVPs. Sandy had 40 career shutouts, 35 from the 1961 season on, but more on that later. Sandy won 3 Triple Crowns as a pitcher. He also won 20 or more games 3 times, and he struck out 300 or more batters 3 times. So that's part of who Sandy Koufax was as a pitcher. Now, most of us know that Sandy Koufax had issues very early in his career in Brooklyn before he got to Los Angeles with control. I mean, in some ways, I think people probably compared a young Nolan Ryan to Sandy Koufax. I don't know if that's true or not, but Nolan Ryan also struggled with control early in his career, and we all know what a great pitcher he turned out to be. So that was Koufax's challenge. Now, Koufax also had to end his career early. Like I said, he only pitched 12 years, 12 seasons. He had arm troubles. I don't know if he had an aneurysm in his pitching shoulder or something. I should have looked that up. I don't know what it was. But he had to retire because he could no longer throw without tremendous pain in his shoulder. So that's kind of the setup for Sandy Koufax. And Koufax kind of has 2 eras in his 12-year career, and they're split very neatly in the first 6 years and the second 6 years. It is absolutely amazing the difference. Sandy Koufax becomes Sandy Koufax from the 1961 season on. Those final 6 seasons, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, that when you think of Sandy Koufax, you're thinking of the Sandy Koufax from 1961 on. Let me give you Mr. Koufax's postseason record. Now, Sandy pitched in 4 World Series. Remember, back in the day, there was no divisional round. The championship series wasn't invented, I think, until like the late 60s, early 70s. You made the playoffs, and the playoffs was the World Series in baseball, essentially. So, Sandy pitched in 4 World Series. He was a 3-time World Series champion. He had a 4-3 record overall with, get this, a 0.95 ERA in the World Series. He had 61 strikeouts, and he pitched 2 shutouts. That's Sandy Koufax, folks. Sandy Koufax led the league in wins 3 times. He led the league in ERA 5 times, strikeouts 4 times, complete games 2 times. He led the league in shutouts 3 times, and he pitched 132 complete games. Now, again, when we talk about Sandy Koufax, the Sandy Koufax that put up those numbers pitched essentially from 1961 on. But obviously, he is one of the all-time greats. Left-handed, right-handed, ambidextrous, whatever kind of pitcher you want to name. Sandy Koufax is going to be top 5 on pretty much anybody's list. The next candidate, again, in no particular order, let's get into the career of one Steve Carlton. Folks, Steve Carlton, he pitched 24 seasons, and his career record was 329 and 244. His career ERA was 3.22. Very good, obviously, over 24 seasons. His career strikeout numbers were 4,136. Carlton won 4 Cy Youngs. He had 55 career shutouts, 1 Triple Crown, and won 20 or more 6 times. And he struck out 300 or more batters. Only once, which to me was actually very surprising. I mean, you have Carlton, he has over 4,000 strikeouts, and he only struck out 300 in a season once. I found that to be notable. It just means that he was throwing a lot of strikes consistently for years. Steve Carlton pitched in 8 postseason series, 4 World Series, by the way. He was a 2-time World Series champion. His career record in the postseason is 6-6. Now, in the World Series, Steve Carlton was 5-2. That's his career record. His career ERA in the postseason is 3.26. He had 84 strikeouts and no shutouts in the postseason. Now, when we talk about Steve Carlton, there is a reason outside of excellence and longevity that people talk about Steve Carlton, lefty, as a tremendous pitcher. The big reason was his 1972 season. Folks, if you didn't know anything about his 1972 season, it is one of the great seasons in the history of sports, of any sport. Steve Carlton was pitching for the Phillies, who were the worst team in baseball in 1972. The record was 59-97. What was Steve Carlton's 1972 season? Well, he went 27-10 for a team that only won 59 games. I mean, it's really, really hard to believe. He also won the Triple Crown that year. I mean, he was literally the only thing positive, essentially, about the 1972 Philadelphia Phillies. Amazing, tremendous. And of course, he went on to continue to pitch with sustained excellence, but that was his first big year. That's the first year he won a Cy Young. He won 4 Cy Youngs, all right? Let me tell you the rest of Steve Carlton's career. Steve Carlton led the league in wins 4 times. He led the league in ERA 1 time. He led the league in strikeouts 5 times. He led the league in complete games 3 times. He led the league in shutouts once, and he had 254 complete games. That's Steve Carlton, folks. So a little bit of information about that pitcher. Now, let's continue forward. Warren Spahn. Before we continue forward, I want you to take note of something, all right? We talked about the postseason career record. We're going to do that for all of these pitchers. And as we stated, Sandy Koufax, his postseason record was 4-3. Steve Carlton, an all-time great left-handed pitcher, his postseason record was 6-6. Now, let's move on to Warren Spahn. Warren Spahn pitched 21 seasons in the Major League Baseball, and his career record was 363-245. Now, his career ERA was 3.09. He had 2,583 strikeouts. He won 1 Cy Young Award. He had 63 career shutouts. He won no Triple Crowns, but he did win 20 or more games, get this, folks, in 13 different seasons out of 21. Warren Spahn won 20 or more games 13 times during the course of his 21-year career. Amazing. He never struck out 300 batters during his entire career in a season. And he had, as I mentioned earlier, 63 shutouts. Now, Warren Spahn, the fascinating thing about him, again, he won 363 games in 21 years. that's a pretty good batting average as far as a pitcher winning and the rate at which he wins. Warren Spahn, missed the years when he was 22, 23, and part of 24 because of military service. He was serving in World War II. So can you imagine? He had one season at 21 years old before he went into the military. So Warren Spahn, probably, if he has those 3 seasons back, he might touch 400 wins. I mean, it's pretty amazing. There's no guarantee that Warren Spahn is going to win 15 games a year at 22, 23, and 24. But he's probably going to win close to 45 games a year over those 3 years, 22, 23, and 24. It's very impressive. Now, Warren Spahn pitched in 3 World Series. He was a one-time World Series champion. His postseason record is 4-3. His postseason ERA is 3.05. He had 32 strikeouts and 1 shutout in the postseason. Obviously, when he was pitching, that would be in the World Series. Now, he led the league in wins 8 times. He led the league in ERA 3 times. In strikeouts 4 times. And in complete games, Warren Spahn led the league 9 times. And he led the league in shutouts 4 times. Warren Spahn pitched 382 complete games. We talked with some of you on TikTok about pitchers being able to go the distance and or more, how much more prevalent it was back in the day than it is today. And it's pretty stark. It's amazing. I mean, who pitches 382 complete games? The answer, Warren Spahn. So it's pretty amazing. It's interesting. Warren Spahn led the league in complete games. Now, this goes back to the initial question I was talking about. Why do pitchers have to tap out a little bit more now than they did when they were workhorses years and years and years ago? Warren Spahn led the league in complete games 9 times, but the last 7 times, he led the league 7 times in a row, and it started when he was 36 years old. So from 36 to 42 years old, he led the league in complete games every single season between those years in age. It's absolutely amazing. It's pretty impressive. Now, let's go to the 4th left-hander that I have on this list. Randy Johnson. Randy Johnson, he pitched 22 seasons, and his career record was 303 and 166. Johnson's career ERA was 3.29. He struck out 4,875 batters. Randy Johnson won 5 Cy Young Awards. He has 37 career shutouts, 1 Triple Crown, pitching Triple Crown. He won 20 or more games 3 times in his career, and he struck out 300 or more batters in a season 6 times in his career. Now, we talk about Randy Johnson. Again, this was another pitcher, like Koufax, like Ryan, who had control issues early in his career. But by the time Randy got to the major leagues, he pretty much solved a lot of those control issues. He still had some, but he solved a lot of them. I'm going to give you his postseason numbers. Randy Johnson pitched in 8 postseason series. One of those 8 was a World Series. He's a one-time world champion, obviously, with the Arizona Diamondbacks. He also won the World Series co-MVP with Curt Schilling that same year with the 2001 Arizona Diamondbacks. Johnson's career record in the postseason is 7-9. His career ERA is 3.50. And he had 132 strikeouts, 2 shutouts in the playoffs. So when you look at Randy Johnson and you see what he did in the postseason, we're going to give you kind of a split. Just like we gave you a split with Koufax, we're going to give you a split with Johnson in his postseason career. But first, let me give you the rest of his career numbers. Randy Johnson led the league in wins 1 time. He led the league in ERA 4 times. He led the league in strikeouts, Randy Johnson, 9 times. He led the league in shutouts twice. And he led the league in complete games 4 times. He has 100 complete games for the course of his career. Now, let's break down Randy Johnson's career. Again, I told you his postseason career, he was 7-9. So, his first postseason, Randy Johnson was 2-1 in 1995 with the Seattle Mariners. Now, the teams he faced during that postseason, 2 different series, were the New York Yankees in a classic division series, and the Cleveland Indians. Now, he was 2-1 in 1995 in those 2 series. In 2001, Randy Johnson went 5-1. The teams he played during that postseason were the St. Louis Cardinals, the Atlanta Braves, and again the New York Yankees. Let's also be fair. Randy Johnson during 2001 in the World Series, he was 3-0 in the World Series against a tremendous Yankee team. Jeter, Mariano, Bernie Williams, the whole nine. Actually, that win ended the dynasty for the Yankees. So if you look at that, 1995, 2001, Randy Johnson is 7-2 in those 2 postseason years, 1995, 2001. The other 6 postseason series that Randy Johnson participated in, he was 0-7. And every single one of those losses were an AL or NL division series loss, which his team lost as well. They were 1-done. 0-7 after starting 2-1 in 1995. Then he didn't win again until 2001 when he's with Arizona. It's pretty amazing. All right. So I've given you, in my opinion, 4 lock Hall of Famers who I think are also locks to be in the top 5, at least top 10, worse. But I think these are all the top 5 left-handed pitchers in the history of baseball. So, how does Clayton Kershaw stack up to these 4 tremendous pitchers that I gave you the information on? Let's take a look. Clayton Kershaw, to this point in his career, has pitched 12 seasons. I'm sorry about that. I read the wrong paragraph. Clayton Kershaw has pitched 18 seasons in the major leagues. His record is 216-95. He has a career 2.52 ERA. He has 3,003 career strikeouts. Kershaw's won 3 Cy Youngs. He has 1 MVP award. He has 15 career shutouts, one pitching triple crown. He's won 20 or more games twice in his career, and he's struck out 300 or more batters one time in his career. That's the overview of Clayton Kershaw. Two things I think are notable. Again, 18 years. So he's coming up on 20 years very soon, which by any metric is a long career as a pitcher. The man is still doesn't have 100 losses. He's 216 and 95. That's a very good win percentage. The other thing to take note of, his career ERA is 2.52. Do I need to remind you? Let me do that. The career ERA for Randy Johnson was 3.29. Okay. The career ERA for Warren Spahn was 3.09. The career ERA for Steve Carlton was 3.22. And the career ERA for one Sandy Koufax was 2.76. Sandy did that over 12 seasons. Clayton Kershaw, 18 seasons, career ERA of 2.52. Make note. Now, Clayton Kershaw has pitched in 12 postseason series. 3 of those series happen to be World Series. Now, he is a one-time World Series champion. That's what they say on Baseball Reference. I consider Clayton Kershaw a 2-time World Series champion, even though he did not pitch, I believe, last year against the Yankees. The Dodgers won the World Series. He was a member of the team. He was on the roster. He is a 2-time world champion, as far as I'm concerned. Clayton Kershaw's postseason record is 13-13. His World Series record is 3-2. Now, he has 213 strikeouts with no complete games and no shutouts during those 12 postseasons. But you and I both know the issue. Here is the rub. Clayton Kershaw's postseason ERA, 4.49. Wow. This is why people kill Clayton Kershaw. All right. We'll come back to that in just a moment. Clayton Kershaw led the league in wins 3 times. He has never led the league in ERA, which is a little surprising, especially since he has a career 2.52 ERA. A little strange. I would have thought he would have run into 1 or 4 of those. He never led the league in in ERA. He led the league in strikeouts 3 times. He led the league in shutouts 2 times. He led the league in complete games 2 times. And he has 25 complete games as a pitcher. Which is interesting, to show you kind of how much times have changed. Not that times are this different or that different, whatever. The totals for the 3 times that Clayton Kershaw led the league in shutouts, he had 2 shutouts one season, 3 shutouts one season, and 3 shutouts another season. That led the league. It's kind of strange. Same thing with complete games. Kershaw led the league in complete games twice. And how many complete games did he have in those 2 seasons? 6 and 4. It's amazing. Things are different. Now, I've given you the numbers. When you think of all-time great left-handed pitchers, I think it's easy to kind of assume, which is what I have done myself, that there are this vast number of options to choose from, right? That has not been the case based off of what I've seen. I just assumed I couldn't remember or name all these great left-handed pitchers. But the fact of the matter is that there are so many all-time great, immortal Major League Baseball pitchers who happen to be right-handed. Pedro, Nolan Ryan, Tom Seaver, Jim Palmer. You can go on and on and on and on and on and on. So I think that the list of great left-handed pitchers, the greatest left-handed pitchers in Major League Baseball history, it's a shorter list than you think. So that's why we come to Clayton Kershaw. And does he belong in the top 5 all time of greatest left-handed pitchers? I have to say this. Having heard the numbers, would you take any other left-handed pitcher that I didn't list off ahead of Clayton Kershaw? I mean, me, I'd probably take maybe Whitey Ford, right? Who had a tremendous, obviously, postseason career, was very good in the regular season as well. Would I take who? Would I take Vita Blue? No. Would I take Tom Glavine? I actually would not. Would I take someone like Chris Sale or John Lester? Now, folks, I am talking about a left-handed pitcher that you would take over Clayton Kershaw, not for one game, not for one series, but for an entire career. Would you take John Lester over Clayton Kershaw? Come on. And John Lester was a very good pitcher. Would you take Madison Bumgarner, who was a tremendous postseason pitcher, over Clayton Kershaw for a career? I wouldn't. You might. I wouldn't. So I think it gets tough when you're trying to keep Clayton Kershaw out of top 5 of all time. Yes. The 4.49 ERA is a massive problem. And you can't have it if you're Clayton Kershaw. You're supposed to be better than that. You have to find a way to be better than that if you're Clayton Kershaw. But sometimes a great player has to be carried by his team. Now that sounds patently ridiculous on its face. I agree with you, and I'm the one that said it. But it's true, in my opinion. Sometimes a great player has to be carried by his team. Look, Roger Clemens didn't have a great postseason record. Roger Clemens was never the Roger Clemens of the regular season when he got to the postseason. Same of Doc Gooden. There are any number of pitchers, there are any number of players who underperform. Randy Johnson, I just gave you an example. Wasn't Randy Johnson in the postseason except for two years, 1995 and 2001. Look, you have all-time greats, and sometimes they have to be carried over the finish line. Think Alex Rodriguez. Think Barry Bonds, right? Pre-steroids for both, right? Allegedly. Think about those two players. Would anyone ever question whether or not they were all-time greats? Absolutely they were. But for whatever reason, they did not perform well in the postseason. And sometimes it's not fair, it's not right. Sometimes your team has to carry you across the finish line, even though you're an all-time great. What did Kobe do in the 2000? When was it? 2000? It wasn't 2008. It was 2011 or rematch against the Boston Celtics in Game 7. He wasn't great. He did get 18 rebounds, but he wasn't great. He didn't score. He shot horribly. but he relied on his teammates to carry him over the finish line. Why? Because he was the reason they got to Game 7 in that season. Same thing with Clayton Kershaw. I told you folks, I happen to think that Clayton Kershaw has gotten some bad breaks in some of his postseason outings. And let's not even get started with the Astros because that is a rabbit hole I am choosing not to go down. But they had people suspended for a reason. All right. So there's Clayton Kershaw. I personally, I'm uncomfortable putting oh my gosh. What are you drinking tonight? I'm uncomfortable putting Clayton Kershaw in the top 5 all time of greatest left-handed pitchers in Major League Baseball history. But I think the numbers easily puts Clayton Kershaw in the top 10. And honestly, again, maybe I put Whitey Ford ahead of him. Clayton's probably no worse than 6 or 7 all time as a left-hander, and that goes a long way. That counts. Speaking of which, I'd be remiss if I didn't remind you now to like, subscribe, tell everyone you know, everyone you don't know about how much you can't live without the Stomp the Tee podcast. I mean, literally, it is like air in the lungs of a human being or any other animal. We're here for you. We're here each and every week. We will bring you scintillating content as we have been wont to do and will continue to do. Spread the word. Stomp the Tee. It's a great show. Okay, so we're now at my favorite part of the program, and I think it's your favorite part too. I get to ask you a question, and that question is, what are you drinking tonight? Well, folks, it is with tremendous pleasure that I will tell you what I am drinking tonight, and that is Thomas S. More bourbon. Folks, this is the Chardonnay extended finish cask. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this product, and I'm also going to tell you what I think about this product. Folks, once again, another gorgeous bottle. Boy, oh boy, the craftsmanship. I mean, the quality of glass. It is just a really well constructed vessel to carry bourbon in. Now, what do you need to know? Thomas S. More is distilled and bottled by Barton 1792 Distillery in Bardstown, Kentucky. It is 48.95 ABV, which makes it 97.9 proof. There's no age statement, but it is rumored to have been aged 5 to 6 years in new charred American oak barrels before being transferred to other casks for an additional 1 to 4 years of finished aging. Now, I bought this bottle. I literally bought it 2 days ago, folks. And tell you a little bit about this Thomas More. I was in love with this bourbon. I think it came out in 2020. Or at least that's when I was introduced to it. I ran into it. Folks, I bought a bottle. I used to buy bottles of this, well, probably like once every month. And the bottles were $70 each. Now, for whatever reason, they had 3 expressions back then. They had a Chardonnay cask, which is my favorite. They had a port cask, and they had a red wine, a Cabernet cask, finished. And these Thomas S. Moores I thought were so well done and so well crafted that it became literally one of my top 3 or 4 bourbons uh, in any given year. But for some reason, they went away. It was very, very difficult to find them for the past 4 years. I bought it in 2021. And in those last 2 bottles I bought were in, like, I think March and in April, just because I happened to call around and find, do you have that Thomas S. More? Do you have Thomas S. More? And whatever liquor store, state liquor store in Pennsylvania, um, had it, would hold it for me. I would run over there and buy it. But for some reason, it's back now. And they have an additional expression or two. I think they have this Chardonnay cask finish. They have the uh, red wine finish. I think it's Cabernet finish. I think they also have a Madeira finish. They have a port finish, and they have a cognac finish. Now, folks, these bottles are on sale right now at Fine Wine and Good Spirits here in Pennsylvania. They're on sale right now for like $45. The normal price, once they go off sale, is probably going to be $50 to $60. But I'm so pleased that these are back that I need to go out probably tomorrow and buy the whole expression just so I have it in case they ever go away again. Now, why would I do that? Why? Because I love this bourbon. Folks, I want to tell you, it's sweet yet savory. And it doesn't really hurt you on the palate. It's very smooth on the palate. I could drink this all night, especially if I have a rock or two. But even without a rock, um, it's just it's just so well crafted. There's a lot of subtle flavor and a lot of character. It's layered flavor. It's just really, really well done. It's well produced, the whole nine. Now, at some point, I'm just giving you fair warning. I'm going to be reviewing some of the other extended finished Thomas S. Moore's, but my favorite one has always been the Chardonnay. And I haven't tried the 2 new ones yet, but my favorite one of the 3 has always been the Chardonnay. But I will give the others not short shrift. I will give them a full review at some point in the future because I'm probably going to go buy all the expressions tomorrow so they don't disappear. So, Thomas S. More, go out, look for it, find it, buy it, drink it. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And that is the show for tonight, folks. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. My name is Cyrus Farmer, and you have been watching and listening to the Stomp the Tee podcast. As always, we appreciate your involvement. Don't forget to follow us on the socials, and we will respond to each and every comment out there. So, my name is Cyrus Farmer, and as always, we will see you on the first tee.